Hey, I'm John Stang. I'm a student, or going to be a senior at Roanoke College, majoring in history. I'm working on a project about Volga-German immigration in the Midwest. This summer in the late 19th century, and kind of going up into the early 20th century, trying to figure out when these communities start to break apart. And as a result, I've also created a blog to fit in things that I can't talk about in my paper per se, and also just some interesting findings that happen along the way. This part of the blog is basically called the Ask Me Anything section, where I'm going to take questions either from people on Facebook or on the comment section of the blog, and then answer the questions via video because it's just easier than writing it out, and I think it's also a more interactive part of the blog. Uh, I have two questions that I got from people when I sent out requests, or I got actually a few others, and I wanted to just answer these questions, and hopefully next time we'll kind of get more. So the two questions are this. First one is, where are the largest concentration of this people group located now? And that's a very interesting question. I would say first, they're kind of located in various parts of the United States because they're not really defined as an ethnic group anymore, especially when you get to second, third generation, and fourth generation. They're going to stop kind of farming and move to various places in the United States. So since they're not defined ethnic groups anymore, that's going to get tricky. If you really want a good sense of where other settlements were when they first came to the United States, the best place to go is the Center for Volga-German Studies, which is located at Concordia University in Oregon. They have some really cool historical maps. I'm not sure who put these together exactly, but they have one map that shows where all these settlements were when they originally came here. And from kind of looking at the map, it looks like, of course, Ellis County, where Catherine, Victoria, Munger, various other Volga-German settlements are. Also in Topeka, there were some that just stayed behind and didn't move out to further western Kansas. When you get out of Kansas, also Lincoln, Nebraska. Nebraska also has a really cool museum. There's a lot of artifacts and genealogies on historical Volga-German studies. Also around Fresno, California, there's a big population. Alberta, Canada. If you go up to around just outside Portland and Chicago, there's some good areas there. Like I said, with what essentially these people were looking for was, I think, a couple things. First, they wanted cheap land. They also wanted kind of a large city, or some kind of a big city they could go to and get supplies. Remember, you have to be able to get supplies for your farm. You can't just stay, and you can't just make it out of thin air. Also, looking for a river where you could get water for your crops and stuff was important too. So that kind of answers that question. I'll link to that map on my blogs, though you can go there and look at it for yourself. The next question is, what were Victoria and Catherine named after? Who were they named after, essentially? Well, I'll start with Catherine. Catherine was named after Catherine the Great. It was originally called Catharinenstadt in German. This was when Catherine the Great basically offered land in 1764 for the settlers to be able to come from various Germanic states to go to the Volga River region, farm there, and then they were able, and then they decided to name it after her because they thought it was a very generous offer, and they thought she was being nice for doing so. When they moved to Catherine, they actually kept the name. It was originally Catharinenstadt, but then they changed it to Catherine, and that's actually spelled Catharine, after Catherine the Great. The church in Catherine is actually named after Saint Catherine, which is spelled Catherine. Eventually, they changed the name of the town to Catherine, like Saint Catherine, because it was easier for postal services. I think they did that I think it was like the 1970s or 80s. They eventually changed it. Victoria has an interesting past. I don't talk about much of Victoria in my research because it has this kind of mumbled past to it. But originally, Victoria was settled by English settlers, English and Scottish, and they were going to go there to become ranchers, to become just maybe do some farming. It turned out a lot of them that actually went there were more kind of English gentlemen. They were more interested in wanting to do hunting on the weekends than really wanting to farm. And you just couldn't sustain in a rural community that kind of lifestyle. So eventually they had to leave. Before that, they named the town Victoria after Queen Victoria I, since they were of English descent. You have also in 1786, you have a bunch of German settlers, Volga-German settlers, that come and form a town. They actually traveled with the Catherine settlers at first. They called their town Herzog, and it was just outside of where Victoria is now, and then they kind of merged with the town and eventually just called it Victoria. So that's where the name Victoria comes from. You also, like I said, you will hear it called Herzog sometimes after the old German settlement. So those were two really good questions. I want to thank both the people who asked those questions. They were very good, and hopefully we'll get more. So I will see you next time, everyone.